Hi, everyone, and welcome to UBS Trending Special Report, the era of AI. I'm Anthony Pastore. The power sector has hit an inflection point driven by electrification, deglobalization, and now the demand for even more growth within the artificial intelligence space. Today, my guest, Brian Blongastainer, will share his thoughts on this topic with us right now. Brian, great to have you in the studio.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me back, Anthony.
We were just talking about how AI now is less of a dream. It's definitely a reality. It's happening everywhere all the time. Apps are now including it on a native aspect. You can't get away from it. But obviously, it's a bit of a strain on the power supply. So just give us the high level. What's happening right now in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned it in the intro, but the three themes that are driving the power sector and electricity demand, we've had electrification theme for years, deglobalization, but AI is now an accelerant for that. So there's kind of a global war on technology. Everybody wants to control their technology, so everybody's building data centers so they can win AI, and that's leading to extremely high demand for electricity and benefiting utilities, infrastructure, industrials as well.
Right. Yeah, so let's get into those, because you said utilities, infrastructure, industrial, nuclear. Those are the four categories in the space. Just give us a sense of what it means before we get into the specific examples of each of those.
Yeah, so if we look back at the US specifically, the electricity demand has been flat for a decade or two. And now we're looking at an inflection point, and there's going to be 2.5% CAGR out to 2030. And this is really driven by all three of these themes driving that. So it's really positive and powerful for the utilities companies.
Right. And just interestingly, we were talking about this earlier as well, and the International Energy Agency estimates that the usage represented in 2022 2% of global demand, and they're expecting that to double by 2026, specifically when looking at the AI picture. So all of these categories clearly are important. So let's take it line by line. When you talk about utilities, what are we talking about there, especially within the space?
Yeah, so it's just electricity demand.
Right.
So they need to grow. So there's more electricity demand. So electricity and utility companies need to grow. They need to expand. And also they'll have a little bit of pricing power as well as electricity prices continue to climb based on the demand. But the EIA did mention that 2 to 4%, but that's going to go to 7 to 10% out to 2030. So this trend is just starting. So just one data point. So the power sector holistically in the U.S. added the most power capacity in the first half of this year since 2003, and this trend is going to continue for close to a decade.
God, it's so fascinating. And then on the infrastructure side, clearly we need the plants, the facilities to generate the electricity, so that's clearly an important factor here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at the market in 2024 so far, so technology has led the S&P 500 year to date. But if you look at the last 6 months, since the last time you and I spoke, utilities have actually been the leading sector. So we're really looking at the second order impact of AI. So the first was the Magnificent Seven, it was the hyperscalers. But now what is next? Where's the money going to go? Where's the demand? So no matter who wins this tech race, we see benefits to the infrastructure, utilities, nuclear, industrials, and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, industrials, when you look at what there's needed, I mean, there are these data centers, and obviously we talk about, in a separate conversation, the amount of water needed to cool those data centers. So it all plays in the same space. Nuclear, I think people get nervous about the word nuclear, thinking of the catastrophes that happen, but it's pretty energy efficient.
So yeah, it's a great source of energy, and we've actually seen a change in sentiment since COP 2028 a few years back, where globally the sentiment has shifted positive towards nuclear because we do need to meet these demands in a clean energy way, and nuclear is a great resource for that. So you see a lot of the hyperscalers are partnering with nuclear companies to get capacity and electricity and energy capacity from them for these data centers.
Right.
So it's going to be a big boom for them. But also we talked a little bit about liquid cooling and the industrials part of cooling these data centers so that they don't use as much water. What are their other options for cooling these data centers?
Right.
So there's a lot of technology and opportunities kind of across the space that we see as that second order impact.
Right. We were saying that there's probably a lot of very intelligent people out there trying to come up with new ways to cool these data centers versus using water. Maybe there's other methods that they're looking into. So I'm sure that will evolve over time.
Yeah, absolutely. So also beyond that, there's battery storage is
Right.
another technology that's advancing. So when you look at the power capacity additions in the first half of the year, and battery storage was a big part of that. So how do we take these renewable sources of energy, store that power when it's not being used? So there's a lot of different solutions that are going to come about, a lot of innovation in the space, and that's what excites us a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, lots of opportunities for investors out there within the AI space, but even drilling it down just in this energy sector part of the story. So Brian, let's broaden it a little bit. Where are we going? Obviously, we know that AI is literally everywhere. And as I said to you just recently, I looked at my phone a couple months ago, and all of a sudden, every app I had was using AI without me even asking it to. So it's clearly there's an increase in usage. So where are we going here?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the last time we talked a lot about the words for 2024 were going to be agents, on-device AI, and large action models, and that's where we are now. So this is starting to get rolled out in our mobile phones. So there's starting to be optionality because the devices now have AI on them where it can make decisions for you, where it can take actions for you, and this is going to be in everybody's pocket. Everybody's going to be using this. So we talked a little bit about how people are using AI, not even realizing it, right? So it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be ubiquitous across all of the apps that we use, and those apps are able to communicate with each other based on the technology advancements as the chips get better. So really it's a convergence of AI and Internet of Things, or IoT, and that's happening in real time now.
And it seems to be that the companies are certainly looking at ways to make the information that comes out more reliable, more up to date. I know that's obviously a big challenge as news changes all the time. We were talking just in our current election cycle, the news changes every 5 minutes, so the AI programs have to catch up very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So anytime you're using AI, you need to use it with a careful lens to it, right? Because there's a lot of hallucinations.
Right.
There's a lot of fake news, fake information being filtered in. So anytime you have an output from the AI, you just want to check it. You want to make sure that you give it a sanity check to make sure that it is accurate, reliable, and from a good source. So that's a very powerful tool, but there's always going to be some of those challenges. There always needs to be a human in the loop in terms of AI.
Right. Fact check everything that comes out.
Yes.
I've noticed even now ChatGPT has a disclaimer that says not all information is correct or possibly correct.
Yeah.
Please fact check on your own kind of thing. So it's a great reference to start, but obviously the information gathering will likely get better and better over time. So here's the other big question, Brian. Where is the opportunity for investors right now? I mean, we're looking at what we're doing currently, and then you've got 5-10 years down the road. What do you see as the investment opportunity here?
Yeah, so I think right now we're in that second order impact. So we're within the energy and electricity space is really the opportunity now because, again, we're just in the infancy. We think that demand for AI is going to outpace the supply for AI in terms of electricity, 2026 and beyond. But then if we think further out, the next time we talk, we're going to be talking about personalize everything. We're going to be talking about the personalization of your content, of your education, of your healthcare. That's the third wave of AI, I believe. And then the fourth wave of AI will be the quantum computing, will be kind of in the distance, and also just kind of a superhuman, the capabilities we'll have using our humanoid robots to assist us, using our glasses, and we mentioned that a little last time we talked. But those are the 3 to 4 stages of AI that we see as it continues to build out and as enterprises and entrepreneurs start to really understand how to use it and what the capabilities are. And it's going to be wonderful to follow this progress.
Yeah. It's already been, it's very exciting since just, only 2 or 3 years ago, we heard about ChatGPT launching. It was November of 2022. And how much it's become a part of our everyday lives when at November 2022, most people didn't even know what ChatGPT was. And now it's becoming literally a part of our office lives, school, home. Fascinating stuff. Brian, thank you so much. Great conversation. And one, as you said, there's much more growth coming down the pike for us to look into and for investors to consider as well.
Yeah, we're excited to follow it and to see the innovations and the investment opportunities. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, good to see you, Brian. Brian Blongastainer from Newton Investments. Thank you, Brian. And thank you all for joining us. There's a lot more information on everything artificial intelligence at our website, ubs.com/AI-hub, HUV. It's right there on your screen, so take a look for that. Also, you can give us a follow on Instagram at UBS Trending. So take a look there. Lots of great content coming out of UBS Studios for you. And as always, if you have any questions about what Brian and I spoke about today, make sure you're continuing this conversation with your financial advisor. Until next time, I'm Anthony Pastore. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you soon.